Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we will be going over how to add a tab view to iOS 18 and up. There are some really cool features like adding side navs and being able to rearrange your icons in a tab bar when you use the new iOS 18 version of the tab bar item and the tab view. If you're ready to get this working in your own project and be able to have awesome tab bars across iOS and iPadOS, and even further beyond that, then stay tuned and keep watching to learn how. So here we are in our brand new Xcode project. Let's go ahead and let's get this VStack out of the way, and let's go ahead and add in our tab view. Now, tab views are a really easy component to add in. As you can see, we've already got the basic scaffold set up down here in our preview. So let's go ahead and let's add a tab item. And to do that, we can use the new implementation from iOS 18 and forward, and we will give this a localized key, and then we'll use a system image for this one, and we'll add a house. And now that tab wraps our view, and so just for now we will put a placeholder view called home view. Now this would represent any other view that you wanted in this tab, but that just shows you how to add a single tab item to your tab view. Now let's go ahead and let's add several more tab items here. Let's add a tab, whoops, not a text, a tab. There we are, for a profile. And we'll let that one be a system image of a person. And then we will call this profile view, that's right. And then let's do a tab for settings, and we'll let that be a system image of a gear. And then the view that we'll display there is again our settings view. And let's do another one. Let's keep going, see how many tabs we can get here. We'll add one for friends, and we'll do a system image of, I believe there's one called person.3, which should give us 3 people. And then we'll give it the closure here of friends view. There we go. And then let's just go ahead and add a couple more tabs just to show you what this looks like here whenever we get more than 5 tabs. This next one we'll call, let's call it alerts instead of notifications. So we'll say alerts, and that takes a system image of a bell, and then we'll give it a view with a text of alerts view. And last one, we'll create a tab, and let's call this one share, and it has a system image of square and up arrow. And then we will put a text here of share view. There we go. Now, one really cool thing that you may notice about this is that once we got more than 5 tabs here, our last tab automatically turned into this more icon, if you can see it here with the 3 dots. And we also get this nice little feature whenever we click on that more, that we can come over here to our alerts and our share, and we're able to see that in a list, which is a really cool feature to get for free. Now, something else we get for free is behavior for different devices. So right now we're looking at this on an iPhone, and that's what it looks like on an iPhone. It just looks like the regular tab view that you're used to. However, when we swap this over from an iPhone to an iPad, for example, we can see that our tab bar gets brought up to the top. And since we have room to see all of our icons, we actually see all of our icons, which is really cool. Now, since we are working with this on an iPad and an iPhone, our tab view is now a lot more adaptable, which is a really great feature. In fact, Google I/O is happening just as I'm recording this video, and one of the things that they called out, as you can see here, is that you get 3 times more usage time for tablets and phone users versus phone only In other words, if you make your app more adaptable, and they notice this across 6 of the major streaming apps in the US. So if you make your app more adaptable, what that means is that you will probably get more time of users being in your app, which is a great thing for your app and should hopefully give you more ratings and better ratings. Now there's another thing that we can add to our tab view that would make it even that much more extensible. So there's a style option for tab bars now, and those style options are automatic, page, sidebar adaptable, tab bar only, and page with an index display mode. If you add this sidebar adaptable to your tab view, then when you're on a larger device, such as an iPad, you get this extra little icon up here, which allows it to become a side navigation. So if you're familiar with like the navigation rail from Android, this is a built-in way to have your tab view displayed on a sidebar, which is really cool. And as you can see, it also adapts so that if you have too many icons up here and you can't see them all, you can click the little left and right arrows to see all your icons, or you can click this sidebar icon, which allows you to see more than just what you could see on the regular tab bar itself. This is also a really great way to make your apps more adaptable across platforms, because it will help with things like spatial computing platforms. It'll show really well on iPads. It shows well on iPhones. Even works well on Apple TV and that kind of thing. Now, another really cool feature that we can do with this new tab bar is we can take a couple of these icons here. So we've got, for example, alerts and share, and we can even group those. So let's do that. And let's do that by creating a tab section. We will call this section more for now, and then we will wrap our last 2 tabs here in that closure. There we are. And now we can see we've got a more tab up here, but if we look at it on the sidebar content, we can see that we've even got this nice little navigation drawer with this nested hierarchy that has our 2 tabs that we've grouped together, which is really cool. Now, there's another really cool thing that you can do with this that is called a section action. And so if you've got actions that you want to do in a certain section, then you can add this modifier here. And we will say that we want to have a button, and we just want this button to do a thing. We don't want it to display a view, we just want it to take an action on our behalf. So let's say that this is a add friend button, and it has a system image of plus. And for now, since this implementation isn't super important, we will just say I added a friend. And so now, whenever we look at our side navigation here, we can see that we've got this new button in our section, which is really cool, and it adds a friend. And as you can see down here in the bottom, we've printed I added a friend. Very cool. Now, one other thing we can do is we can add custom IDs to our tab items, and by doing that, we'll say this is tab.home, and let's say this is a customization ID of profile, customization ID with a tab.settings, customization ID with a tab.friends, customization ID with a tab.alerts, tab.share. Very cool. All right, and by adding these customization IDs, it allows us to start adding the ability for users to be able to rearrange the tabs on their own and store them locally so that we can keep those settings for the user, which is really cool. And so we do that by coming up here, and for now we'll use app storage. So we will create an app storage property wrapper, and let's call this my customized tab order, and we will make that a var of my customized tab order, and that is of type TabView customization. Very cool. So now that we've got the customized tabbed order up here, let's actually use it on our tab view. So let's come down here and let's let the tab view know that we want to customize the order by using the tab view customization section, and it takes a binding to the one that we created up top. So we'll say my customized tab order, and there we are. And with that, we should be ready to try this out. So let's go ahead. Let's try reordering these. There we go. So we press and hold on one, and we can drag the settings, for example. And the friends over. Now it looks like it's hiding these from the preview window, so there may be some issues with preview. So let's go ahead and let's not run it in the preview. So I've chosen an iPad, so let's run it on that and see what that looks like. All right, so here we are on the iPad. So let's go ahead and try clicking and dragging there. Now let's try moving the home on here and see what happens. There we are. It moved it. Very good. And so let's check done and see if that keeps it. Very cool. So now home has scooted over to here. Nice. Now you could see that more, for example, wasn't allowing us to move it. So that's because we didn't give an ID to the more section. And so by default, if you don't give the tabs an ID, as you can see here, we didn't give that section an ID. If you don't give them an ID, then they are opted out of being able to be moved by default. Now we can also rearrange those tabs. If we go back to our simulator, we should be able to rearrange these tabs in the side view. So let's click on the edit in our side view and see if we can put friends at the top of the list, for example. Now that's interesting. It looks like there's a little bit of an issue here with actually dragging on the simulator too. So let's try moving it up top and see if that works. And now we'll click done. Yeah, see, these aren't updating very well here, but as we can see, friends are at the top of our tab view list whenever it's in the regular tab view. So apparently there's still a little bit of bugginess going on in the simulator. Don't know if that's still on the same thing on a real device. Now that's an iPad, so let's see what it looks like on an iPhone. There we are, and as we can see, we've got our home, profile, settings, and more. So let's see if we can modify the tab view on an iPhone. So clicking and holding doesn't seem to be doing anything on the iPhone. So it looks like that tab rearrange ability may only work on larger devices. So that's interesting. So let's go ahead and let's close out of our simulator. And there is one other thing that I wanted to show you that I thought was really cool. And that is that we can drag and drop content onto our tabs. So for example, let's make this text draggable. And we'll say our payload is home text for now. And then we will put a modifier on our tab called drop destination. And we'll take the one with an item and an action. And so we'll say that we're taking a string dot self, and the action that we want is our item. And for now, we'll just print our item. And there we go. And so now we should be able to click and drag on our home view text. And that doesn't look like it's working really well in the preview window here. All right, now that we're in our simulator, we can click and drag on our home view text, and let's drag it up to the tab here. And we've dropped it, and now we should have a print statement down here that says home text. Very cool. So now we can drag and drop items from one tab to another, which is a really cool thing. Really cool new feature of the tab bar, iOS 18 and up. But we're not done yet. There's still one other really cool feature that I wanted to show you. So for all of these, we've had to write our own home tab with a system image and then pass it some content. There is another cool thing that we can say, and that is we can create a tab, and if we give that tab a role, such as .search, and then we'll say that this will be our search view, but again, just temporarily not using the actual search itself. But with giving it a role of search, you can see that we've already got an icon that we get for free here, and it already has the word search here, which is really cool. We didn't have to write any of that stuff. And if we change this back to an iPhone, we can come back over to our More tab and see that the same thing works well here on our search bar. We also see that we've got that edit option up here to drag some icons. So it looks like this only allows us to organize the icons that are in the More view here itself. So that's interesting too. And with that, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you feel like leaving a comment, just be nice about it. That's all I ask. Thanks. Have a great day.